We're live here, Nick.
All right.
First of all, thanks everyone for coming. Let me grab my notebook.
There we go. That's the guy we need.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to start today off with a toast, guys. And why I grabbed my notebook, because I wanted to make sure and thank everyone who's been such a big part of this. This was a fun project. Essentially what Nick did is he really encouraged me to expand our CO₂ product line. He really wants to prove that there's a market for this. We've seen what the large systems have done. He's seen directly on the farms, and Nick started making beer a few years ago, and the beer is so good, his demand for a chiller system has increased, and he got in the market, and he had to make a real tough decision on to go with a synthetic based chiller or to potentially go with our CO₂ based. The offerings on CO₂ are slim, including our offering, which is, really favors the larger producers. So we got together. We had already had some ideas to do a smaller system, and so that's what we did. We came up with a design that we feel is going to really open up all of our markets. Nick is not yet convinced, but he's convinced enough that he's given us 6 months to kind of make a case for it, and we're up for the challenge too. I mean, and what we both did as I was trying to sell him this system, we realized there was just too many questions, and so we said, why don't we spend 6 months? We'll create some data and create some answers, and hopefully make the decision to keep the system or send a truck in and pick it up in 6 months, and that's what we're going to do. So I want to introduce Nick. Nick, can you tell us first about you and in one sentence, a little bit about Hanabi and kind of your path and what you're doing here.
Yeah, so my name's Nick, and Nick Gislason, one of the co-founders and the head brewer at Hanabi Lager Company here in Napa Valley, California. And we brew lager beers using heirloom grains. So ancient grains could be hundreds or thousands of years old that we source from a collection of small family farms up and down the West Coast. So in that production, of course, we have cooling needs because cold beer is happy beer, and also heating needs. We're cleaning the kettles and cleaning the tanks. So we were really interested to work with Pro on the CO₂ system where we could take potentially this wasted heat that for almost every other chiller in the world is just blown into the atmosphere as waste, and actually utilize that in the form of hot water that otherwise we would be producing with fossil fuels, as would any other facility worldwide. So, so that's what we're interested in here.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's really where we've seen the values on the dairy farms with who use a tremendous amount of hot water, and it's really proved the justification, and it's a whole new strategy here when you're making beer, and when we walk through the brewery, I think we'll be able to get a good sight of that. But before we go, I see a few more people pulled up so we can fill up a few more glasses. I want to thank some specific people on the team. I know Damon, you are remote. Damon was out here last week with John, who's behind the camera, and Alphonse, who's our electrician and one of our quality guys. It was a huge team effort to come out here and get this system online, and I appreciate the huge effort by that group, but also just as important, the group back at the factory that built the system and got it out the door ahead of time, and then the service team that's going to keep going. So thank you guys for making that happen. And again, Damon, thank you for getting this one over the line. Damon was the project manager on this one, as he was the first one, so we thank him for that. I have Jim Weatherwax is here. He's our regional guy. Thanks for putting this session on and making it happen. And we also have Jeremy, our regional guy from the Northwest, who had a customer here who just bought a PROGreen 50 from the food processing industry. So that was really cool to do that. So thank you guys. You guys all came here at the right time. We're gonna lift up our glasses, and I want to thank my wife for being such a great wife too. But let's cheers. Thanks, guys. Okay, now we're going to get a behind the scenes look at the brewery.
Sure.
All right.
Let's do a little spin through the cellar.
Right on. I'm going to bring my beer with me.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, this beer is good. We're going to come back to the chiller systems, but
Oh yeah,
this is
that's
it.
the spot.
So Nick, you want to walk us through and show us both the heating and the cooling application that's going on around us?
Yeah. Cooling needs, particular room. So in the middle, this is the brew house. These kettles, the jackets, cooking the barleys. Build.
Hey, sorry guys, Nick, I'm not sure your mic is working.
It is this mic.
All right.
There we go.
All right.
Much better.
So we start our days by fresh milling the whole grains. So this blue mill, we crack the grain coarsely, and then it goes into the kettles. And then we spend all day cooking, and essentially we're working to steep a barley tea from these whole grains. And so that tea is cooked in these 3 kettles in the front. It's strained in the kettle in the back to strain off the husks and the solids. And then the tea is boiled in this kettle. And that's where we add the hop flowers. We boil that for about an hour and then spin it and cool it down. And the cooling, we do that with a tank of ice water. So that represents one of our large cooling loads, where every day that we're brewing, we need one of these tanks full of ice water that we produce with the chiller. And then simultaneously on those days, of course, there's a lot of wash down and then actually hot water that's used to produce that barley tea itself that's in the product. So the cooling and the heating are usually occurring at the same time, which is why we're particularly interested in CO₂ and a chiller system that can potentially do both all at the same time to utilize what would be a waste product. So then the cooling loads, that's the tanks all around the perimeter of the room. So looking around, you see some frosty manways there, especially some of these big ones over in the corner. And the reason there is cold beer is happy beer. We produce lagers, which are, of course, fermented and aged cold. And so the fermentation and the cellaring is happening all around us. And then we package next door, so we could take a look over there.
Chiller back here.
Yeah. Yeah, our original Pro chiller in the back there. And so a simple bottling hall. So bottling on this side and then kegging over on this side. Right next door, which is convenient, of course, to the main cellar. And that's it. So
Should we walk out towards the chiller?
let's see
Okay,
some
that's-
chillers. Good to see you, my man.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll catch the unit when it's not running. And what we'd like to do next is just kind of walk you through the system. I'm going to ask John to kind of take you guys through, who's been here doing the commissioning. So we'll go around the corner. If the equipment fires up, we might step away. But really, there's 4 primary sections of the system. And starting with our refrigeration system on this end. There you go.
Yeah, like he was saying, here's the refrigeration system right here. We've got the 2 25 horsepower compressors. These are Doran compressors. And on this section over here is the oil system. So we have the oil separator and the oil reservoir. So this whole side right here is the oil system. Yeah, sorry, the fans are running right now, so it may be a little bit loud. And then when we go over here to this section, this is the control center here. So we've got our 850 controller. This is the newest touchscreen model here. This is where we can view all of the operating data, see trends, and kind of manage the system from the screen as well. Inside of the cabinet is our rack controllers. So we've got the rack controller up here, then we've got our evaporator controller, circ pump control. These are all from Danfoss here. This is our whole control cabinet.
meter equipment there.
Yeah, we've got the we're watching the amp draws on this system. On the back side over here is the pumps. So this is the fluid flow to the chiller evaporator, as well as the process pump, which goes inside and feeds his process loop and cools down the beer and tank. Process pumps, you have a primary and a backup. The primary pump is on a VFD drive, which is right here. So it's controlled based off of a pressure set point. So we're controlling it to 25 PSI is what that pump is ramping up to. Yep, and then by a flip of a switch, you can go to a backup pump. You can bypass the drive by a flip of a switch if you need to. Everything is easily flipped back and forth. Same thing for the circulation pump. These blue pumps here, you have a primary and you have a backup. The primary pump, when there's a call for cooling, it supplies flow to the evaporator and then feeds that chilled glycol back to the tank. If for some reason there's an issue with this pump, flip of a switch, you can swap to the backup and it'll fire right up and take over. Then as we come around to this side, okay. Going over the heat recovery now.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll take over.
Okay.
Yeah, this the heat recovery. This is our waste heat recovery section here, and we're doing. This was the first unit, and this is now offered as an upgrade on all of our systems. But we're using a thermaline gasketed plate heat exchanger for our secondary heat exchange. So we're cooling all of our potable hot water with a gasketed heat exchanger that you can open up and clean and access. And a lot of our customers have the real harsh environments, and this just gives you that buffer and protection. And then we have an internal, we call it our recovery glycol loop. And then that glycol loop is what we circulate against the refrigerant. And that heat exchange happens here where we exchange it from the glycol into the potable water. Some neat things we got are not only the VFD pumps that we got on this, so we'll have live monitoring, recording, and and data to really tell us exactly how much heat we're able to recover. But Nick has also put about a 600-gallon fermentation tank or unit tank out here, and that's going to be just ideal. We'll use that to pre-feed any of his hot water requirements, but also we'll be able to do some really great testing and proving on that, and really put this thing through the test. We want, you know, with Nick's, and we're learning with his, we've got a lot of ups and downs, and you do that in beer, wine, and a lot of industries. So that's what's really going to be key is not only monitoring how this thing does and handles those peak load conditions, but also during the low times and the quiet times. And you know, that's probably a bigger question, is if it can handle the hard times, is how it does, how it efficiently is there on standby. But yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add or
No, I think the main thing we're really excited about this one because of the this gasketed sanitary heat exchanger that you mentioned, Jim. We like that a lot because when we're doing a descaling cycle on our hot water system, which we do annually, this heat exchanger is set up for that in terms of it can handle the cleaning chemicals, and we don't really have to take anything apart, save for perhaps sediments. But in terms of scales, we can clean that in place, which for us is a big plus. And then hot water recovery as well. So just a simple hot water tank to do some studies with and preheat all of our processing water. And we're excited to get that dialed in.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, and we're going to have this meeting once a month. The next one I think is on the 11th of June. The dates will be on that landing page. But we're excited. We don't have, obviously the system just got up and running, and we were even dialing it in this morning here, getting ready for the group of people that are showing up now. So I'm excited to start presenting some data. That's been the big question, is what are we going to share? Hey, we're going to share as much as we can and as much as, you know, as we need to help show the value that we're getting. But we also, on the other side of it, we do have a synthetic based system, and we probably should discuss that one also. And this is the one that we're comparing our system, this other one against. The differences with this system and the other one, that other than this one being operating with CO2 as a refrigerant, this has the newest A2L refrigerant, which is R454C. Same components. We have our refrigeration and closed refrigeration circuit. We've got our fluid, our backup pumps. What you won't see on this system is right here is the heat recovery. There is none. All of the heat that comes off of our system is you know, discharged into the air. So we're not, and the reason is it's simply because the temperature is not hot enough. It's warm and it's hot, but not enough to effectively recover that waste heat. Unlike on the CO2, where we can heat water up to 180 degrees. So these are the two systems that we'll be looking at each month. And I'm going to step away from the equipment. And I'll try to kind of summarize. A little quieter over here. Okay. Yeah, so what you may or may not have noticed, we have kW meters on both machines. So we'll be monitoring the actual amount of power that each unit is using independently. And we're also have remote monitoring on both of these systems. So we see exactly how much runtime the compressors are operating, and we'll be able to get a really great side-by-side efficiency comparison. And I'm excited. I'm excited to show what our standard system is doing. The other system is a dual 50 horsepower system, and it was fired up about 3 weeks ago. The CO2 system. Now they all shut off because we're done. And the CO2 system, you know, was fired up last week. So it's going to be, you know, both of them, we're still getting them dialed in, as you do on big systems right now. And maybe on the next month's one, we'll also walk through RD Winery next door, they're here tonight too. But we'll be incorporating them into this also, because they're just as important as what we're figuring out here with Nick. So are there any questions? I don't have any audio.
I got a question. Can someone relay? Can you hear me? Or can I?
Pardon me?
Jim,
Ah, there you go.
question.
Oh yeah. Okay, great. So what are you most concerned
It's on
with?
speaker.
What's
Biggest concern here, Jim?
yeah, like what are you really watching? Because you're like,
Honestly, my biggest concern here is for this system to suit Nick, I think we got a little too much cooling capacity. And that's what we're gonna have to look at. So it's gonna be justifying it. But that's I don't have any I don't have any operating concerns. We for supporting this environment, I think it'll do well. But to proving the value, yeah, we're it's if we don't have the runtime, we're not going to recover the heat, and that's where the ROI is. So that's going to be the big thing that we're going to be working on.
Any other questions?
We will get better at this next time too.
Unfortunately, we lost a microphone.
I'm kind of happy we have one. Yeah. Well, I'm happy everyone's hung on for as long as they have. This is I think we can let's call it meeting number 1. We're gonna work on the getting the data out. We appreciate everyone who logged in, and we look forward to chatting with the people here, and would appreciate any of your feedback. I know a lot of this might not have been the best. If we could, any feedback or suggestions, we would love to absorb and learn from too. And on how we can test this thing and prove to Nick how valuable it is. I had people ask me about PFAS and, how critical that is. Hey, I think it is critical, but I would love all the justification that you guys can help too, and helping us make a case. And that's all I got to say.
right on. Thanks.
Is it beer time? All right. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, y'all.
Cheers, Jim. Cheers, gang. Thank you.
Cheers.